hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need.
Hey, it's the Kirk and Byrd Show. This is your host, Rusty Byrd. And today we have filling in Jay Gholson for my normal co-host, Kirk Hilliard, who's still out of town on the other side of the coast, but he should be back this week. Jay, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah. We had hoped to have you on like this weekly anyway with Kirk, but this is fun. It's fun because we can get the guy out of here that doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's a Phoebus phantom, and it's just the brothers talking. All right, so look, all right. And plus I'm mad at Kirk because Phoebus beat Bethel.
Whoa, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. And it wasn't pretty. But anyway, so let's get into Prince William County sports. We're gonna talk about we'll review this past week. We'll talk about and we'll preview the coming games this week, and then we'll go with your Rusty and Jay's top 5. We'll also discuss Brian Westhoff's VHSL Region 6B rankings. Is UVA grad who is really smart and knows how to figure and calculate just even better than what the VHSL does with its spreadsheets and all that stuff. And then we'll go into Max Prep's updated top 10 overall Virginia high school football rankings. All right, so Jay, let's get started. Now, we're going to go over all the games involving Prince William County schools. The first I have up here is Patriot Garfield. Patriot improved to 3-0. They took out Garfield, but it was a relatively well played game. I know Patriot won and they had more points, but I thought that Patriot is just a class team, but Garfield kind of represented. What did you think?
Well, here's the thing about Patriot High School, and that's their quarterback situation. I mean, San Fernandez, this is the second game that he's been out. And his backup, Scott Bateman, he's doing very well for a backup. My concern with Patriots going to be they play better teams. When they play Osborne, who has a great defense. When they play Battlefield. When they play John Champ. They're a good team too. So, I mean, some Patriot, they're telling me he's out for 3 to 4 weeks. So, yeah, I thought it was less serious than what it is. But they need San Fernandez back because Garfield, that game should have been 50 to 20 or bigger, more higher point spread than what it was. I mean, it was a close game because of, without San Fernandez. And luckily you have, Gabe Bigby, you have that big offensive line, very talented line, talented receivers, great defense. But you need San Fernandez back in there if they want to win or go far in the playoffs. You need Fernandez. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. That, and I think you and I both agree, the Cedar Run District is the toughest district in Prince William County and the region. But there are a lot of quality teams in that and as I look at it now, I would say that is the toughest district in Division Class 6 football in the state of Virginia. And you can tell by some of the rankings, and we'll get into that later, but also like teams that were sleeper teams in the past or just weren't as quality. When you have a Champ and Freedom South Riding doing as well as they are, I've seen them both the last 2 weeks, and they're not just decent teams. They look good. They're playing Kogan, and we don't know how Kogan's going to play out, but they looked really good. So we'll see how that impacts everything overall in that Cedar Run district. But talking about Patriot, if they need a couple of weeks, I think they'll be okay at least because the next game. This is the only thing I'll say. So their next game against OP, they should be fine. But I don't like how they're giving teams this bye. Like they had a bye after like week 1 or 2. Week 2 after week 2 because they were at our game. I mean,
Yeah.
the Colgan game against Osborne, and like, come on, like that's to me too early. Like, I appreciate a bye after about 4 games because then kids get to rejuvenate their body. Coaches can assess kind of where they are. But I think I agree with you on Patriot in terms of a longer run. But I think they'll be okay for now. But and then it's good to get your backups experience.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. The quarterback, Scott Bateman, the last 2 games he's done a great job. Mm-hmm. Now Garfield, I think last week it was who they played last week. I don't remember who they played, but it wasn't a strong team. So luckily, as he gets more confident, they play better teams. He'll be all right. But my thing is, we played the Battlefields and the Freedoms of Woodbridge, not South Riding, the Freedom of Woodbridge, PW. You will need San Fernandez.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Let me ask you this. So, all right. Let's just go through the rest of the game, and then we'll get on to some specific things. So next, Battlefield versus Hilton. My only takeaway from that is they won. They shut them out. But from what I understand and what I read on the boards is that they were classy in how they were respectful in how they played Hilton. We know Hilton's kind of rebuilding right now. And so I wasn't there. I haven't even gotten a chance to watch the game yet. I will. But, they weren't disrespectful in how they played the game in terms of sportsmanship. That being said, they probably could have put up more points.
Oh, yeah.
So you got a team that's 3-0 versus a team that was now 0-3. All right. This is what my surprise game of the week. Woodbridge beating Massaponax 27-14. I mean, you and I both, we were at the champ Colgan game, and as we're looking up scores, we're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, now I'll say along. You play Massaponax. They run a triple option, which is very, very, very hard to defend against, especially within 1 week. So Woodbridge to go from Woodbridge all the way down to Massaponax, which is a hostile environment, a big crowd, and a triple option offense. They really show me something. And like I said, to stop that offense at that short of time period is commendable. And Woodbridge now they're 2-2, and they may go 3-2. So you can't rule them out. I know they're below the point system right now for the top 8, but Woodbridge, you have to watch out. Now they have no offense, but they have a defense, and they proved it against a triple option Massaponax team.
And I mean, they did put up 27 points against Massaponax.
Yeah.
Now, and look, so Massaponax is 1-2 this year, but I'll say this: they traditionally have been good. And just 2-3 seasons ago, they were killing everybody, and they only lost to Oscar Smith.
I know, close game too.
Close game.
Yeah.
And then I think that was the year they lost to South County. The very next year is when they beat South County.
Correct.
But but Massaponax, a really good tradition, good program. So that's a quality win for Woodbridge, because I think as Massaponax plays in their district, they're going to get a lot of wins, and that's going to help Woodbridge. Yeah. And I'll say this about Woodbridge, and as we move on, Woodbridge, as they get into the Cardinal District, should pick up a couple of wins. If they're legit. They're legit.
They'll beat Garfield. They will beat a tough game. Colgan can go either way. Woodbridge, Colgan. They won't beat Freedom, but they probably could beat Forest Park. So they can probably go 6-4, maybe 7-3. I mean, it's possible. Woodbridge, they have a team, so they're going to be someone to watch. And they're coming back. But they impressed me Friday night beating Massaponax, a team that's hard to defend against.
Yeah, and so they play Hilton too. So that's actually their next game. So that could be a dub. All right. So so anyway, this is the thing I love about this, and high school is no different than pros or college, in that you literally have to go week to week, because everybody's been talking about Jay's top 5 and how but if your perspective is that weak in what they've done, it's legit.
Yeah.
You know, like that's, I mean, everybody can have their opinion and their theories and philosophies. Some things I think are pretty solid when you're going to go, hey, Battlefield, Patriot, and Freedom are going to be good. You don't know how it's going to go happen, but
Yeah,
you know they'll be good.
You
yeah. So, but to me, now we look back, we go, okay, Colgan was 2-0, but how legit are they? I mean, but you know what? They beat an Osborne team that might really be good. We know they were missing some pieces, quarterback, but you know, when you first look at the Champ and Freedom loss, you're like, all right. But but as you look back now, like you go, oh no. Because when you're doing the schedule beginning of the year, like I tell my son all the time, I go, you guys are going through and you say, well, we can maybe beat them, we can beat them.
Yep.
But you don't really know. I said, because you know what everybody else is doing? They're looking at Nancy Coker and they're going, we can beat them, we can beat them. So I think as this season, if it continues this way, you know, the Freedom, South Riding, and Champ losses may not be as bad as it's probably originally perceived.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that leads to our next game. Champ, we were both there. Champ beat Colgan 49-29. And
let me tell you something. John Champ. I mean, that wide receiver number 17. I don't know his name. Here's my vote for all district, maybe all region. That kid can play.
Yeah.
That quarterback they had playing also, he's got a good arm.
Mm-hmm.
But John Champ, I thought, again, I was wrong. I thought there would be a below average team. Thought it'd be an easy game for Colgan. But they went at it. I mean, the first half, what was it, like 40 points they scored?
I think the halftime score was 42-7.
Woo! See, that's what I mean. I mean, that's put this way. When Freedom played Colgan a couple of years ago, that was a halftime score. So, you know, so you wonder how this John Champ team, and it's what's scary also is next year they're Division 4. Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that. All right, so let's go to the next game. Brentsville, they rebounded and they took care of James Wood 42-0, and I see nothing but good things for them as they get into district play. Herndon, I could not believe this. Look, I saw that first OP game against Colgan. I thought there was something there. I know that the score was a little at the end, but I thought OP looked like a legit high school program. They're going to win some, they're going to lose some. And I just don't know if it's that once you start losing, it's hard to get back on track. But, you know, Herndon hadn't won games in a couple of years. And OP, that was one of the ones that last year, I believe, OP's 2 victories were against Colgan and Herndon, I believe.
Yeah,
right. And just to lose 49-0, I don't know. I'll have to look at that. But I'll say this. I haven't given up on OP. I hope the administration and the coaching staff doesn't. I don't think they will, because everyone has said, no, we're going to give them time and they'll put it together. And I believe they can.
Sometimes kids will break your heart. And like I said last week, you know, sometimes these kids, you know, high school football players, they have a bad day at school. You know, girlfriend may dump them before the game. You know, something goes wrong and they good enough bus ride from Manassas to Herndon. They get there and everything goes wrong. Yeah. And 49-0, that tells me nothing went right that
right.
They were there. But hopefully they'll bounce back. I like Coach Wells. He loves OP. And now they have Wyatt Hurley's back, which is going to be good. Whoever they play next, so hopefully they bounce, because they're not they're not a horrible team. Now I didn't see that game, but I saw the game against Colgan, and it was like, you know, they're battling. So hopefully they'll bounce back.
Yep. Now here we go. Probably the best game of the weekend was Briarwood's Forest Park. That was a game that was very close. It was 36-35, and Forest Park could have won that game. It drops Forest Park to 1-3, but their record does not indicate how good a team they are.
Well, one word for Forest Park, and I was told this by a couple of coaches who saw that game and who coached the game from Briarwoods, is that Forest Park gave them the game by turnovers late in the game. Can't have turnovers late in the game. And so that's Forest Park. They're 1-3. They have Freedom coming up in a couple of weeks. I mean, I think in that region alone, which we'll discuss later on, you have to go at least 6-4 to go to the dance. So, but they really have to improve on less turnovers.
Yeah, and they have 6 games left. There's 4 to 5 games in there that they should be able to win. There's so we'll see. The hard part will be when you put all of the region points together.
Yeah.
All right. So next, Osborne came back and they beat Potomac. So now they're 2-1 and Potomac is 1-2. But it was a close game, 12-7. So I don't know. I haven't watched the game. I don't know what that means. We think Osborne is probably decent, especially if they get their quarterback and they have everybody there. We don't really know what Potomac is yet, but it was a 12-7 game. Osborne won. It just gives them a winning record, and we'll see. We'll see what this Potomac team, can do as they get into district play. Now, this one was surprising, and again, this is making me think maybe Freedom South Riding is legit because they beat Gainesville 47-13. And
well, I mean, again, I hate to say this, but Gainesville is really, how do I say this nicely? They're a very good JV team. So I would not put that win.
They're young.
Yeah, they're young. Yeah, I mean, they're not.
Young.
Well, many players are young, but they have some reclassification players on there that should be a year older.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, I really think they should have waited one more year to be on varsity. But
I don't know if that would have done anything. I think it would have just given them a false sense of what that they were better than they are. I mean, I get out there, play the varsity teams. You've got kids that are in the 12th grade, and like you said, you've got 9th graders that should really be in the 10th, and 10th that should be in the 11th. So, and look, again, I'm saying South Riding might be more legit than we ever thought. So, yeah, it's amazing how they're getting blown out, but then they put it on OP. I think Gainesville has some talent, but they are again in a tough district.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of where that is. And then Freedom-Woodbridge kind of put it on Unity Reed, who had been 2-0, 42 zip.
That one, okay. Now that's 3 games in a row that Freedom has played Unity Reed in the past year. Each one has been by over 40 points. And I think Unity Reed's mindset against Freedom is like, we can't win this game. I'm being honest. You can tell by the third quarter that they just give up Unity Reed. Even I announced 2 of those games last year, and those players in Unity Reed, you can tell the confidence just went downhill once they get to 40-0 and
like most kids.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
down 49. But it's yes, I agree with some of the things you're saying, but I also think it's just, I mean, when Freedom gets it going, it's hard for any kid to be like, oh, we can come back, like, especially if you have that trauma from the previous season, but Freedom is Freedom right now, and they're rolling. They're rolling. So, those are the Prince William County games. Let's go over, based on what you saw last week, what are Jay Gholson's top 5 Prince William County teams?
All right. Y'all ready for
What's
this?
your new top 5? Now, you've already released it online on Facebook, but for those who haven't seen it.
Yeah, but I would say verbally, number 5, Osborne. Because what they did against Potomac, they have a winning record. In my opinion, they have a top 3 defense along County. That with Boxley, Nick Williams, Nigel Burke. Those 3 guys are Division I talent on the defense. Rob. Okay, number 4, I have Brentsville.
Okay,
Brentsville's back. They have the quarterback Caleb Alexander. He's doing well. You have Tyler Nix. I go on and on about Will Johnson. So Brentsville is the 4th best team in Prince William County.
Okay.
And number 3, I have Patriot. The Patriot dropped. They dropped from 2 to 3 because of the quarterback situation.
Okay.
That's why. It's the only reason why. You have San Fernandez in there as a quarterback. You're 1A, 1B with Freedom. You're up there with Freedom. But right now, my thing is, when will he come back? Because then, that's the main thing about Patriot is their quarterback situation. Number two, Battlefield. Because how they beaten these now, Battlefield's not played a winning team yet. They played a first winning team this Friday against Osborne. So that'll be Battlefield's first mini test this Friday. They've had a really easy schedule. They're blowing teams out, but they're playing they're playing a weak team so far. And number one, not only in Prince William County, but in the state, Freedom High School in Woodbridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And football and marching band. They're number one in the state of Virginia.
All right. Okay, cool. All right. So look, let's so that's your top five, Jay Gholson's top five. That's Freedom number 1, Battlefield 2, Patriot 3, Brentsville 4, Osborne 5. And that looks a little bit like mine. I'll start again at 5. I'm gonna go with Unity Reed. They were undefeated, but look, their only loss was to Freedom. They beat Westfield. They to me, they are better than Osborne. They have a quality win in Westfield, who was putting up big numbers against South County the other night. So I think Unity Reed, whose only loss is to your number 1 team in the state, is my number 5. Number 4, I agree, Brentsville. Number 3, I'm going to switch it up a little. I'm going Battlefield because I think Patriot is just going to be a better team by the end of the year. And right now, they're putting up quality wins. They're beating some good teams. They beat Forest Park, who doesn't have a winning record, but we know Forest Park's pretty decent. And of course, Freedom is my number 1. All right, so real quick, we'll go over the games coming up this week in Prince William County. Colgan has a bye this week. My number 1 game this week is going to be Champ at Unity Reed.
Why is
that? Well, I think because we'll see is Champ legit, or we'll see is Unity Reed legit. Like this is going to be, to me, a good Cedar Run game. And then it's just, to me, the best of all of a not so great slate. All right, so that's why. My number 2 game of the week, and I don't know who you're going to say. I don't know who, Prince William Sports and Entertainment, if they're going to cover a game. But number 2, I think, is Potomac at Forest Park. I think it'll be a good game. That is a game that went to overtime last year. And again, it's going to be one of those, okay, let's see what you really got, Potomac. All right, Forest Park, you need this. You need to show us something. So I got that as my number 2 game. And the reason I don't have it above Champ is because you got 2 teams that don't have a winning record. Okay, Champ.
Yeah.
So
my top 2 games is going to be Freedom at Garfield. Let me tell you why it's number 1. Because see, one, you have Garfield's won 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And Garfield does have Freedom's number. I don't know how they figure it out. I don't know how they do it, because but I guess that Dale City kid, he can come in. They can come in there and they will break your heart for teams that are really good. The Garfield kids. So that's to me a big rivalry game. Well, it is a big rivalry game. And number 2 is Potomac at Forest Park, because you have the Montclair kids and the Route 1 kids going at it. And those two, you never know what's going to happen to Montclair kids versus the Route 1 kids. There's always like that, extra effort given. And back in the day, we were at the same school, the Montclair kids, Route 1, but now it's different schools now. So yeah, but I think that one, I may pick Potomac for that game.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Because you're an alum.
That's it.
Okay. All else fails, go with your school you graduated from. All right, so that's cool. All right, and then the other games that are slated. The next game I have is Osborne at Battlefield. I think Battlefield win, but that's my number 3 game of the week. Number 4 is, to me, Garfield at Freedom, because of the revenge factor. I just don't think Garfield has enough. I mean, I just think Freedom's going to take care of them. Next, Hilton at Woodbridge.
no match. Woodbridge will crush them. No match. Hilton, I hate to say it, Hilton, they may go 0-10.
Yeah, they maybe. You never know. You don't know.
I never thought when I coached there in the early 90s that Hilton would be in this position, because that was when the school was being built. We knew they're going to be contenders. We knew we had the back part of Dale City and all of Montclair. We just knew that was going to be the winning ingredient. But to go from that to state championships to Ricky Slade to now his homecoming game.
But I tell you, you got to look, man. Just like you said, you knew when they opened that school what they were taking was going to make them good. But you got to look at when they opened other schools, how that impacted them. So I think one of the biggest ones is Colgan opening, and Colgan opening, how Colgan took a number of kids, but then they moved some things where Forest Park maybe got some, and then Woodbridge and Garfield. It impacted even OP. It impacted everything. So and that these now we're seeing it. It just took about 3 or 4 years for them to really kind of stand out. And but let's see. Hopefully they can rebound and get a win or two this year. Next, I think that OP at Patriot is a game on the schedule. And next we have Gainesville at Potomac Falls, which they could win. Gainesville could win at Potomac Falls. So we'll see.
Where's it at? Potomac Falls, or is it at Gainesville?
I believe it's at Potomac Falls.
Okay.
Yeah. And they could win that. All right, so we'll see. All right, so next, let's get into Brian Westhoff's VHSL simulated Class 6 Region B points. So I'll just quickly go through all 16. So number one, well, it's top 8 make the playoffs, but it's 16. He did it all the way through. The whole region. Yeah. Okay. So number one, Freedom. No surprise. They have 122 points based on Brian's calculations. He's got 2 and 3 tied. Patriot and Battlefield tied. They're both 3-0. Same amount of quality wins, which weren't very quality, but that's why they got those points. Number 4 right now, if the playoffs started, Unity Reed at 2-1, Champ 2-1. Again, that's why that's my game of the week. All right. Freedom, Loudoun County, South Riding, they're 3-1. They actually have the second most points, but that's because they've also played 4 games. All right. So, but they're number 6. Number 7 is Osborne at 2-1, and Colgan sneaks into the playoffs right now at 2-2. All right. So they're rated. If the season stopped right now, it's just right now, and which I think I would vote if anybody asks, should we do it? I'd say let's stop it right now. Yeah. All right. Woodbridge is 9, Colonial Forge 10, Forest Park 11, 12 and 13 is the tie between Garfield and Potomac, Gainesville 14, Hilton 15, and OP 16.
Now here's the deal. If Colonial Forge, look at it right now, Colonial Forge goes 6-4, no, even 5-5, they could be a top 8 seed because of their schedule, their strength of schedule. They're playing teams that
they lost to Stonebridge.
Yes, I'm going to tell you right now the list. Tuscarora, who's a good team.
Yeah.
Highland Springs is on their schedule. Stonebridge, Mountain View, who's 4-0. I mean, it's like 8 games this year they have are teams that are playing down. So they could go up if they just win, I think, 5 games based on who they're playing.
Right.
Now, Colgan has to be careful. They have to, I think Colgan has to go at least 6-4.
Yeah.
At least 6-4 to get in. Unity Reed, see, they're just like last year. They would look good one game, they'll lose 50-0 to an average team. I don't know who's going to show up for them. I don't, and Sean Murphy's gone. He's in Alabama. So there's no Sean Murphy there. Now you got Amari Campbell. But Unity Reed, I don't know. Now the big game, the game of the year for regular season is going to be Battlefield and Patriot.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
that's going to determine the seeding for a lot of teams and who is going to be, 2 or 3. I think if Freedom wins out, this should be a number 1 seed. If they win out.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I don't see them not winning out at this point because now we're getting to the district play. And I just don't.
I was wrong. Let me rephrase that. If they win out, they should be the number 1 seed. But if you're playing bad teams like Garfield.
Oh, I see what you're saying by the points.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's why you gotta be careful, because because you want to host the 7-5-17.
Right. Like last year, Freedom had to go to Battlefield. Now they weren't undefeated like Battlefield, but your point is home field advantage in that regionals. Yeah. Yeah. So I understand. When I take a look at this top 8, the only thing I see that could, a lot of it could change. And I see Colonial Forge could maybe replace somebody because they're not in either of our districts. And I see Woodbridge and Forest Park. And Garfield possibly, but to be honest, man, out of those top 8, it could be 4 teams from the 5 teams from the Cedar Run.
Oh yeah, actually maybe even 6.
Maybe 6. It could be 6.
Yeah.
It could be 6.
Right now.
But what that means is they're going to have to start beating up on each other, and that could impact somebody's score record. So okay, all right. So I think we've covered that. Brian, keep them coming. We love this. I know the VHSL doesn't put it out until after next week, I think. But this is great. I love this talk. And then we want you guys to comment on this. Tell us what Jay got wrong and what I got right. All right, as always. All right. So next, overall, now this is for my 757 and my Richmond folks and Fairfax County folks. This is the Max Preps top teams overall in the state of Virginia, and this is regardless of division or class. And for the first 4 weeks of the season, Oscar Smith held that number 1 seed. But they've been overtaken by Highland Springs. And to me, the very simple math on that is Oscar Smith has only played 2 games, and Highland Springs has not just played 4, but they've played quality.
Ooh, no, overqualified teams.
Right. Yeah. And won well, and won big. Yeah.
And won.
Yeah. So I would say, they are, and I think we even when you and I both talked to Matt from VA Preps, he said he thought that and we kind of agreed that right now Highland Springs could be the best team in the state.
That and Matt Hatfield told me that he feels as of last week that Freedom is better than Oscar Smith. And I asked him,
right, yeah, I remember that, and that's Class 6. But so luckily neither of those teams have to deal with Highland Springs until next year.
And Mountain View.
Yeah. So here we go. All right. Based on what they have Highland Springs 1, Oscar Smith 2. Freedom, again, like I don't have a problem with Freedom being 3. Denton Whitney though kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
Being over Phoebus, and Denton Whitney over Phoebus and Verina. Now, I Phoebus could be 5, but I still don't know why is Maury at 6. They lost to New Bern, and they're only going to play 8 games, and they won like this past week. But I don't know. We'll see what Maury's going to have to do. Do something. I just don't see why right now they're at 6. They may end up there, but I don't see how you put them over Verina or Battlefield.
Yeah, well, Battlefield because of their schedule, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, they're still 3-0.
Yeah,
they're still 3-0, and you got another team that's 1-1. So anyway, that's kind of I see as this. I'm looking forward to this season progressing, and what's interesting when I look at this is there's no Fairfax High School in the top 10.
Ooh, yeah, South County blew that.
Yeah, they lost to Westfield, but from my man Jordan Dennis, the quarterback, who is their starter last year, who led the state in passing yards and touchdowns. He was hurt. He got hurt in the first game. So he didn't start the game, and they were down big at the half. He played the second half and promptly and in the fourth quarter he threw 3 touchdowns and they got right back in the game. They ended up losing, but Jordan Dillon is a quality quarterback. Yeah, and I had him. We won a championship with him at APYFL, and he comes from a good family, and he's a really tough kid. He is a tough kid, and he can get it done. So you've got, Oscars. I mean, you've got these teams outside of Fairfax County like Oscars, but you still can't sleep on some of those Fairfax teams because remember, it's always going to be a Fairfax team in the final.
Yep.
And it don't take but one game. It doesn't take but one game. And I still think, Centerville lost. But as they're healthy and if they have a chance to really do some damage this year. So that's kind of my thought on the Max Preps. Did you have any thoughts? Anything?
Well, the only thing I would do, I said it last week, and I'll say it again today. I think it should be Highland Springs 1, Freedom 2, Oscar Smith 3.
Okay.
One, based on the quality of wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see why Oscar Smith is above Freedom. I mean, they played a team 0-3 or 0-2 they beat recently. I mean, I just don't. They have 3 quarterbacks. I just don't see how Oscar Smith is above Freedom.
Let's be honest. What is Max Prep's methodology? I don't know. I mean, is it a person? Is it a computer? Because they don't have any rhyme or reason or consistency. So going by what you're just saying, like if Highland Springs moved up because they're showing some quality wins this year, that's fine. But and if maybe you let them switch with, Oscar Smith because of that, but then why is Maury still there when you have teams? I mean, so I guess what I'm saying is they look like they're valuing last season, but then sometimes they don't because Varina and Phoebus aren't as high, but Maury's there. Like Maury was in the States, but they lost. I don't know. And then you got, these 2, I think both of those, the Life Christian and the other, like the Richmond one and the Lynchburg one, they're both private schools, right?
Yes.
And they've got them in the top 10, but and they can legally recruit, but I don't know. We'll see. They got to win one first.
Here's my question though about Phoebus. I wish Kirk was here, but I don't think they can beat a team like Oscar Smith and Freedom or even Battlefield. I don't think.
But you know what?
Yeah,
but they don't have to. They're
I mean, regards to the ranking. I mean,
right. Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. I don't see.
But you know what? So what's interesting is we're looking at this, and you know what they never give love to, and we don't bring it up, is those Class 1 and Class. What is the team? River. Oh gosh, the Class 1 team. They hadn't lost a game in like 4 or 5 years. They won all these state championships, and but we don't know. We don't follow Class 1 or 2. There could be teams that are great, and we always talk about. Now we think that they wouldn't win because they have such a low population, but they're doing great things at their level, And so, for that reason, because I forget, gosh, it's River. It's not. I know it's not River Bend, but
Riverhead.
That might be it. But they won like a bunch of state championships in a row. We're not giving them that love because we just don't follow it as much. So that's another thing. We have to get out to that southwestern part of the state and get some folks on here and then tell us what we and educate us. And so that's another thing we need to look at. And that, again, we don't know Max Prep's methodology. Formula. But yeah. So anyway. Thank you, Jay, for being on the show. We didn't really have anything big in college football to discuss. Firing
Herm Edwards. That really. I'm not surprised, but I thought these schools now they don't want to wait until the season's over to fire these coaches. They want to fire him 1 or 2 games in and hire an interim coach. I mean, and you had Nebraska, who could have saved like millions of dollars to fire Scott Frost, 2 weeks later. They said, no, we'll fire him right now. We'll pay the money. We'll buy out this contract.
But this is the thing. you have to probably do it when you know you're gonna give it them anyway, and it was off after a loss. Because what if Scott Frost wins and beats, I don't even know what their schedule. Say they beat Illinois or Northwestern, and then you fire him. Like, okay, but he just won 3 games in a row.
Can't fire him.
Is that right? You can't fire him then. It's easy to, because the crowd, not the crowd, but the fan base is like, yeah, he's got to go. Same with Herm. Herm was on the bubble at the end of last year, and then he lost his quarterback. There's that one receiver that was at Arizona State, and I forget where he is now. He's just crushing. He's a tight end, big receiver, 6'7" kid. They only got had 5 receptions at Arizona State, and now he's one of the top players in the country at another school.
Wow.
So anyway, the other thing I'd point out is the Sun Belt is still representing. They should have. ODU should have beaten UVA at UVA.
Oh yeah, that was close.
Yeah, very close. I came down 2-3 last second, and they lost by 1. So I think Clemson didn't. With Wake Forest struggled with Liberty.
Wow.
My overall take again is the ACC is extremely weak, and I'm a big ACC fan. Virginia Tech played the worst team in Division I football in Wofford, and they, I think they had like a 3-zip, lead at the end of the first quarter. Whatever. I mean, they put it together. They won like 27. Wofford had not scored a point all year, but they scored against Virginia Tech. So again, like the ACC to me, we got to stop calling teams Power 5 or Group 5. It's just D1. Other than SEC and Big Ten.
Correct.
Right now, so all right. Well, that's kind of our takeaway from college. But thanks, Jay.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna have you back probably later this week, and we're gonna hopefully interview some athletes from Prince William County. So thanks again. This has been Jay Gholson with Rusty Byrd of the Kirk and Byrd Show. Thank you all for watching. Again, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of October. Every little subscription helps. If you're an athlete, don't just subscribe, but comment and say, hey, I play for Potomac, I play for Patriot, and I just subscribed. That lets us know. If you want us to talk more about your school and your program, so if you're a Potomac, you're like, they never talk about us. Because you ain't got nobody subscribed to this show. Okay. If you want to know why I talk about Colgan all the time, because Colgan got a lot of people subscribed. Okay. All right. So we're going to cater to some of those teams. I know Patriot has got subscription. Freedom, you're their announcer. My kid was at Colgan, but Freedom showed out when it came to their, the views they got on Coach Overton's season preview. So when Freedom and Patriot are getting over 500 people viewing, that lets me know that they like Kirk and Byrd and what we're doing. So let me hear from you guys, and let's help get Kirk and Byrd Show over with 1,000 subscribers. Thanks again, Jay. And this has been the Kirk and Byrd Show. We are out.